Good morning, welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show, Expresso on SABC3. Now, it is a reality of life that we have to deal with, and a staggering statistic that 1 in every 3 women will suffer physical or sexual abuse in their lifetime. And for that reason, we all as South Africans need to stand up and say enough is enough. It must stop now. And this kind of sentiment is being pushed forward and being worked on by organizations like the Vital Foundation, who have partnered up with their suppliers and made sure that every 1 rand from the purchase of a multivitamin is donated to foundations that are working towards the fighting and stopping abuse against women and children out there. And with me this morning, joining me is Arnel Meyer from an organization called Mosaic. Good morning, Arnel. And Anita Nqolani, who's a survivor of physical and sexual abuse. Thank you very much for joining us this morning and coming to take the time to share the story. Arnel, I'm going to start with you first. Tell us, when you as an organization define domestic violence, what exactly is it, how do you see it, and what is the extent of the problem?
Okay, it is a huge problem in South Africa. Sadly, it's very unreported, so statistically, yes, 1 in 3, but that number could be much bigger.
Yeah.
Domestic violence, how we define it, it happens in a range of relationships. It could be married, divorced, it could be currently in a relationship, currently living with a relative, and it's defined by not only physical and sexual abuse, but emotional, economic, often overlooked as intimidation, harassment, and stalking.
Yeah.
So it's a very broad term,
yeah.
Domestic violence.
You've dealt with many victims and you've supported them into becoming survivors. What are those early signs that one needs to look out for to know that this is a very dangerous situation that could endanger my life?
The main thing is that wanting to enforce power over you. Mm-hmm. The perpetrator wanting to enforce that power over you, that is to your detriment. That would be one of the biggest signs.
Yeah. Now, Anita, I understand that you experienced these kinds of behaviors that Arnel is talking about in the early stages of your relationship. If you wouldn't mind letting us into that part of your life and sharing that story with us about what happened in your relationship.
Okay. Like Arnel mentioned, it starts with power. Mm-hmm. It starts with control. Eventually, it leads to emotional abuse, psychological abuse, and then that's where the physical abuse comes in the picture, yeah. So that's what I've experienced in my previous relationship.
Yeah. And as you describe it, it seems to come in stages. So when did you make that decision and know that this is the time to break the cycle of abuse and you need to get out?
At one point in my life, I looked in the mirror and I didn't see the same person that I used to be. Even people around me, my friends, family, they saw the different side of me. And that's where I saw that I needed to take some action, yeah.
Take us through that action. What was, I'm sure it must have been a very, very scary time, because I think for a certain portion of time you feel alone, mm-hmm. because you're the one that's suffering this abuse. So what processes did you follow? How did you gain support? You know, take us through that.
Well, one of my friends recommended me to go to the police station, mm-hmm. where they actually referred me to the Department of Justice. And that's where I met up with the people of Mosaic, and then they guided me in the legal steps that I needed to take to sort my relationship. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I can possibly think to myself that taking that step is almost a very big step, having to go to, let's say, to the police station to report something like this. The support of your family and friends and people around you, how important is that when one is going through something like this?
It's very important, because in my case, it helped me reconnect my life, yeah. as well as identify myself again, and also reconnect with my family and continue with my studies. Yeah.
Now, I understand that the work that you do at Mosaic is of such importance because you offer support to victims of sexual and violent abuse. Tell me a bit more about the work that you do there.
So we've got social auxiliary workers that are based in various communities, and they do not only trauma counseling, but long-term counseling interventions. They also expose survivors to different resources in the community through referrals to our network. They also run various training interventions to empower survivors. And then lastly, we work with perpetrators of domestic violence as well. Yeah. So if your partner would like to change and work towards a better relationship, then the Men Care Plus program is also there.
Yeah, and there's also something called a court support program that you
Yes.
have. Tell me a bit more about that.
The court support program has Mosaic staff members, court support workers based in about 16 courts in the Western Cape and 2 in Gauteng. And through that, a survivor would come to the court for a protection order, and our staff member would then assist with the completion of the application form. They would do trauma counseling. They would refer out to our network of partners, so that the person can get the various support needed in their communities.
Yeah.
We'd also ensure that the protection order application form is filled out to the specifications of the magistrate.
Yeah.
And that's
To make sure that all
basically-
the processes are followed through. Anita, I would like to get one last message from you. There might be somebody at home right now who's watching this who is at a similar stage that you might have been in life and needs some kind of encouragement or motivation to let them know that it's okay. What would you say to them to give them that kind of encouragement?
Well, guys, it's not okay. Break the silence, guys. Make use of free services out there, because it's nice to find someone who can guide you in the right direction. So it's important to speak up, guys, because silence kills, actually. So
I think that's a very powerful message that you delivered there. Silence kills. Ladies, thank you very much for coming in and sharing your stories with us and sharing the work that you do. And thank you. Thank you for that. And please also do your part out there at home by supporting the Vital Foundation, remembering that R1 of every vitamin or multivitamin purchased will be donated to organizations such as Mosaic that help in the fight against abuse, because quite simply, enough is enough and it must stop now. Stay tuned.
The Vital Foundation takes action against women and child abuse. R1 from every Vital pack will be donated to organizations fighting abuse. Make a difference.